Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Love from Lizi released a special edition kit called Happy Haunting. It includes a 6x6 paper pad with 12 sheets, and these are all single-sided. There are 2 stamp sets with lots of cute Halloween images, and also a few sentiments. I put a spell on you, too cute to spook, and peek-a-boo. The next item is a spiderweb stencil, has all these fun little curls. The curls definitely make it not so spooky. The final item included in the kit is the coordinating ephemera, and I've already dumped mine into a box. There are lots of really cute Halloween images. There's some florals, here's a little ghost, there's a couple little girls, there's a cat, a bat, there's even a little spider, although I don't think it's technically a spider since it only has 6 legs. If you want a closer look at all of the items included in the kit, you can check out my unboxing video, and I'll add a link in the description box below. Let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. I selected 2 different pattern papers. I have some spiderweb paper for the background that's printed on a light purple color, and I have this fun chevron design for the smaller piece. Many of the designs on the pattern paper have the look of glitter, but there is no glitter. The paper is nice and smooth. I'll add a couple of Love from Lizi peel-offs underneath the chevron paper. I believe this is the mauve mirror color in the pinstripe style. I used the medium and also the narrowest width. Wrap those ends around the back. I'll layer this piece on some black cardstock, put some ATG tape on the back, and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I am using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from Sugar Pea Designs. It's Sugar Sketch number 23. I'll be adding one of the little girl ephemera pieces, and instead of placing her directly onto that chevron paper, I'll be putting her on a vellum oval die cut. That'll help break up that busy design, but you'll still be able to see the pattern through the vellum. I did pop her up using some foam dimension. Then I'll flip over the oval and add liquid adhesive just on the back side of the image. That way you won't see any of the adhesive showing through the vellum. Next, I'll add a couple small banners in the upper left-hand corner. The larger one I use black cardstock, and the smaller is a light purple cardstock. Just glue those in place using some liquid adhesive. Then to finish off the card, I'll add some more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the black glitter color in the mini star design. I'll put 3 of them around this sweet little witch image. Decided to leave the sentiment off the front of the card. I'll probably add a Happy Halloween on the inside. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 1. Now moving on to card number 2. The card sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 419. I selected 2 different pattern papers. I have some black paper with gold skulls for the very background, and then the other looks like gold glitter, and it has white spider webs all over it. But again, there is no glitter on the paper. It just has the look of it. I layered the spiderweb paper on some black cardstock, and I did cut it larger than what's indicated on the card sketch. I find it easier to have that piece just a little bit larger. I'll put adhesive on the back, adhere it in place at that angle, then I can flip over the panel and trim off the extra. I'll layer the skull paper on some gold pearlescent cardstock, put some ATG tape on the back, and add my card front onto a card base. For that narrow strip, I'm using some more of the gold pearlescent cardstock. Before adhering it in place, I will add some scrap pieces of cardstock on the very left side where it goes off of the spiderweb pattern paper. Then adhere it in place using some liquid adhesive. I'll be using another little girl image, this sweet little girl dressed up like a bat. And I've already stamped out the sentiment peekaboo. Trying to decide where I wanted the sentiment, in the upper left hand corner or on top of that gold strip. I'll add some foam dimension on the back of the sentiment circle, and I'll leave just a small gap so it can sit right on top of that little pearlescent gold strip. Adhere the sentiment in place, then I'll add my little girl to the right side of the sentiment. Even though she's all dressed in black, there's still enough contrast against the background since the ephemera does have that small white border around the image. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll use some more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in the gold glitter color. I'll add 3 in the upper left-hand corner and 4 of them on that gold pearlescent strip, putting 3 on the right side of the sentiment and 1 on the left. I'm using the smallest size, and it does help to have a pair of tweezers to pick these up since they are fairly small. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 2. For card number 3, the card sketch is from Mojo Monday. This is sketch number 323. I selected this beautiful glitter looking pattern paper, and I'll be adding some Love from Lizi peel-offs on the back, just as indicated on the card sketch. I first tried the mauve mirror, but they really got lost on that pattern paper, so I switched to the gold moondust color. I will be adding an image and sentiment to this card, so I don't need to use full strips all the way across since it will be covered up. Most of the time I'll wrap the end of the peel-off around the back of the pattern paper, but I don't for the moondust and also the glitter style since they are a little bit thicker. I always save the small scrap pieces of peel-offs since sometimes you only need a teeny tiny piece. Once I have all of my peel-offs in place, I'll layer this piece on some black cardstock. And for the very background of the card, I have a light purple cardstock that's pre-embossed with little polka dots. And this is from Basil. I am switching up this sketch. Instead of having that pattern paper piece on the left side, I'll have it on the right side. And the reason I'm flipping it is because of the little ephemera piece. The owl is facing more toward the left, and I think it looks better to have her more on the right side of the card instead of the left. I've already stamped out the sentiment, Too Cute to Spook. It's my favorite in the kit. And I'll layer that on some black cardstock. Before adhering it to the card, I will add that scrap cardstock piece on the very left side. Then I'll adhere it in the lower left-hand corner. I put some foam dimension on the back of the owl, and I want her sitting on top of that sentiment, just a tiny bit. I also planned on adding the purple jack-o'-lantern. So first I'll attach the sentiment. And I think I ended up with it too far to the left, since once I place the owl down, she's barely sitting on top of that sentiment, and there's not enough space to add the jack-o'-lantern to her left. So here's where I'm trying to get all of those ephemera pieces to fit. I thought it looked odd to have just one foot perched on top of the sentiment and the other sort of hanging off the end. So I did have her perched all the way to the right side of that sentiment. And then when I tried to place my jack-o'-lantern, there just wasn't enough space. But now I felt like the card was off balance. So I decided to use some of the floral ephemera pieces instead and create this little bouquet, and that way she's sitting kind of on top of the sentiment and that floral bouquet. I will pop up some of the flowers with some foam dimension, but for the other pieces I'm gluing them down using liquid adhesive. And I even cut down a few of the pieces so they would fit nicely underneath those flowers. I pulled out way more floral pieces than I'll be using. I just kept adding them until I felt like that was enough. 4 years ago, Lizi released a September Super Kit that had the same images and pattern paper. It was one of her most popular kits ever, and she received tons of requests to have it reprinted. And she was able to re-release the special edition Happy Haunting Kit just in a smaller size. And it's already been super popular. Once it sells out, she won't be reprinting it again. So if you are interested, I would suggest not waiting. To finish off the card, I'll add a few Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini star style in the black glitter color. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. For card number 4, I'm using a card sketch from MFT. This is number 578. I'm adding a narrow strip of some light purple glitter looking pattern paper to the bottom of some white shimmer cardstock, and I added a fun pierced polka dot detail to the background using a die from Concord and 9th. I'll add a Love from Lizi peel-off above that pattern paper strip. This is the black glitter color in the pinstripe style. I'll layer this panel on some black cardstock, add my card front onto a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. Next, I'll add the cauldron ephemera piece, and I do have foam dimension on the back side. I'll remove the release paper and adhere it on the upper portion of that glitter pattern paper. And you'll see I'm really using this sketch more for inspiration. I'm not following it very closely at all. I'll also add one of the floral images to the left side of the cauldron, and I'll glue that down using liquid adhesive. And I'll put two other ephemera pieces in the lower right hand corner. I have a book that's super sparkly looking, and also a bottle of Beauty Poison. I'll glue the bottle down using liquid adhesive, and the book will sit in front of the cauldron, so I will add a little bit of foam dimension. I'm just trying to place it so I don't cover up the label on the Beauty Poison bottle. For the sentiment, I've already stamped this out, and I did stamp it on the same white shimmer cardstock. I just made sure to let that ink dry completely so I didn't smudge it. And this is I Put a Spell on You. And I'll adhere that in the upper right hand corner. To finish off the card, I'm adding a bubbly mix coming out of the cauldron. And these are pearls from Studio Katia. It's their exotic onyx color. I'll add a bunch of them above the cauldron. Although when I first placed them on the card, I realized I'd put them in a triangle and it looked a little odd. So I'm trying to make them look a little more random. So I'm moving them around and trying to use several different sizes. I'm using an embellishment wand to pick those up, adding just a small drop of liquid adhesive and pressing them in place. At this point, I decided my card was finished, but then after looking at it sitting on my desk, I decided I should have a few of the pearls sitting in the cauldron as well. So I'm adding 5 more of the pearls. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. I love how this turned out. The pearl color goes perfectly with the images and pattern paper. Now moving on to card number 5, and this is my final card design. I'm using the fun spiderweb stencil. I have some light purple cardstock, and I'm using the Royal Treatment ink color from Catherine Pooler. I'm adding a little more ink to the center of the web and gradually getting lighter as I work my way out. I will be cutting down this panel. Right now it's a full A2 size, but I'll cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Next, I'll add a little bit of splatter to the background, starting off by using the same Royal Treatment ink color. Then I'll also add a little bit of gold metallic paint. I love the shimmery look of the watercolor once it dries. I will be layering this on some black cardstock, and I'm not trusting that that panel is completely dry at this point. So I'll be putting liquid adhesive on the back to adhere it onto that black cardstock piece. I don't know when I got purple ink on the back of this panel. Might have had some on my finger. I sometimes end up with all kinds of ink on my fingers when I'm using stencils. Next, I'll be adding a couple of the ephemera pieces. This adorable little kitty cat with the witch hat, and also the spider wearing a beautiful floral arrangement on its head. I did put foam dimension on the back of both of the ephemera pieces. I'll remove the release paper, adhere the kitty in the lower right hand corner and the spider more in the upper left hand corner on the web. I'll be stamping the sentiment directly onto the card, so I am using my mini MISTI, and I'll ink it up several times to get a good solid impression. Then to finish off the card, I'll use some more of the exotic onyx pearls. Put 2 in the lower left hand corner and a few of them around the kitty cat image. The nice thing about using embellishments that don't already have adhesive on the back, they're easier to move around until you're happy with the placement. Then I felt that that upper right hand corner needed a small banner. I pulled out a scrap piece of cardstock that was sitting next to me and cut a small piece, hoping I was cutting it nice and straight. Cut that fishtail on the bottom, and then I'll cut the 2 sides at an angle. Gives it more of a whimsical looking banner. And I'll adhere it in place in the upper right hand corner. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 5. I think this one is my favorite. Now here's another look at the 5 cards I made using Love from Lizi's Happy Haunting Special Edition kit. This kit is definitely on the cutesy side for Halloween, which is my favorite. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. This is a special edition kit that Lizi had reprinted. Once it sells out, it'll be gone forever. So if you are interested, I would suggest not waiting. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.